morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at, the most valuable, the most expensive, phrase how you will, Cards from Paradise Dragona, which of course is out over in Japan. That set is out, it is released, it is available now, so we can go and have a look. And it's going to be very fun indeed. And we've actually got a pretty clear top 10. In at number 10 is Full Art Latias, which comes in at about 1,100 yen. Although I'm fully aware that not all of you actually work in yen all the time. So 1,100 yen comes in roughly equated to, let's call it $8, just 14 cents, 13 cents shy of $8. Now, everything else in the set is 600 yen or less. So anything that's not on this top 10 list is significantly lower than even Latias. Latias is number 10 at 1,100. Everything else that isn't on the list is 600 or less. So that kind of tells you what you need to know. We have a very clear, easy, obvious top 10. And honestly, I kind of like that. Full Art Surfer, really enjoy that card. 400 yen. Kind of a big fan of Full Art Black Kyurem. I think that's a cool card. Yeah, that's coming in at like 500 yen. Everything underneath Latias comes in at 600 yen or less, and that honestly makes me kind of happy. As for Latias itself, I think here we might have a case where people like this card. Because honestly, Latias, both versions are on this list. Both are a little bit higher than I would generally expect for outside of a very playable card. So that tells us that everyone in Japan seems to think this is a pretty nice card. We've got an ability that gives free retreat to all your basic Pokemon. But given that Latias is a basic Pokemon itself, that's kind of amazing. Basic Pokemon gives free retreat to all of your basic Pokemon. I'm just putting it out there, ladies and gentlemen. This seems like it might have some legs. Latias, cool. Lovely. In at number 9 at about 1,500 yen, we've got Gold Counter Gain. 1,500 yen, you're talking just shy of $11. And interestingly enough, like I told you the other day, we've actually had a Gold Counter Gain before. Gold Counter Gain is not new in that regard, but it is cool. We like Gold Counter Gain. It reduces your attack cost by 1 colorless energy if you're behind on prizes. We've got a choice. We've got the one that came around in Lost Thunder. But honestly here, whichever one you like, that's all right by me. It's a cool card. It's going to see a bunch of play. And that alone is going to put it up on this list. So yay! Gold Counter Gain. We like. Coming in at number 8, we've got the Gold Alolan Exeggutor, which comes in at 1,600 yen. And 1,600 yen, you're talking somewhere in the region of about $12, really $11.50. I'm going to put it at 12, but really it's $11.50, so feel free to argue about that one. But what we've got here is the gold Pokemon in the set, the only gold Pokemon in the set. And once again, we're in this weird situation where, because cards are generally getting a bit cheaper all around, all the gold cards are making it on the top 10 list. Nice. Alolan Exeggutor, I actually really like Alolan Exeggutor. I think we've got a very nice attack here. Now, it's the usual Terra Pokemon thing of 3 different energy, a grass, a water, and a fighting. But you flip a coin. If heads, KO your opponent's active basic. Obviously, if their active isn't a basic, no KO. And if tails, you get to KO a benched basic Pokemon. Against all basic decks, this is absolutely absurd. But honestly, this is just generally a pretty nice card. And it's the only gold Pokemon, and people like Alolan Exeggutor. There's your answer. In at number 7, we've got the special illustration rare of Archaludon, which is coming in at about 2,800 yen. So we've jumped up a little bit here. We're basically up to, $20. $20.03. I think we can round that to $20. And on the one hand, this is a special illustration rare. On the other hand, it is the lowest of the special illustration rares. When I told you about this one the other day, I told you it didn't really look like a special illustration rare, and that was about the best I could tell you. And that's essentially where we are here. I like Archaludon. I actually really like the card. The card's got an ability whereby when you evolve into it, you can attach 2 basic metal energy from your discard to one of your metal Pokemon. Now, it has to be metal energy, and it has to be to a metal Pokemon, and it has to be to the same Pokemon, but then free energy 220, and during your next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness. So you're essentially a single energy Pokemon, because you get the other 2 from the discard. And then you're hitting 220, and you've got 300 HP and no weakness. I'm just telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this sounds like it might be a pretty nice card. Now, in at number 6, we've got the Drayton Special Illustration Rare, coming in at about 3,000 yen. Now, here we are slightly above the Archaludon here, only a tiny bit, but still, we are above. And 3,000 yen, you're coming in at about $21. It's about $21.50, but we're rounding it down. Argue in the comments if you like. And there are 2 supporter card special illustration rares in this set. This one is very much the lower of them. It's just Drayton doing a bit of shopping, checking the nutritional information, I want to say, on a pack of cookies. And it's a really cool card. It's one that I like very much indeed. But it is very clearly the lowest of the 2 special illustration rare supporters. And it's alright, but it's nothing terribly special. As a card, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, find a Pokemon and a trainer, put them in your hand, shuffle the rest of the cards back into your deck. Effect-wise here, it's fine, but it's nothing particularly special, which honestly kind of sums up the card quite nicely. In at number 5, we've got the Alolan Exeggutor Special Illustration Rare, which is coming in at the same price as Drayton, trending ever so slightly higher, but I do mean ever so slightly higher. There is not a huge difference between them. Now, I told you what this card does a minute ago, but the Special Illustration Rare is just cool. It is Alolan Exeggutor running around on a basketball court. And remember, it actually makes a really nice pair here with the Execute Illustration Rare. They're by the same artist. They're clearly a pair. They've clearly got a similar kind of thing going on. And this just makes me happy. I like paired cards like this. Paired cards like this make me very happy. This is a cool card. I do think it's going to be a chase for a lot of people. No, I don't think it's on the same level as the other Special Illustration Rares. Not claiming it is. But it's the middle here of the Pokemon. It's significantly higher than the Archaludon. Well, a little bit higher anyway. But it's a lot lower than the big one. In at number 4, before we take a bit of a jump, we've got Gold Jet Energy coming in at 3,300 yen. And 3,300 yen, you're basically talking $24. And look, it's Jet Energy. We know Jet Energy. We've had Jet Energy for a while. It's a colorless energy, and when you attach it to a Pokemon, you get to jump into the active. The thing is, we know for a fact this is a great card. We know it's going to see a lot of play because it's coming into a format where it is already seeing a lot of play. And unlike, for instance, Counter Game, we don't have another version of this. There is no fancier version, which means as soon as you pull this, it's automatically the best version of the card. And that's basically where we are here. We've got a very cool version of a card we know for a fact is going to be good. Now, we've only gone up by 2,200 yen from 10 to 4. We're going up 2,700 yen to get up to number 3, which is Full Art Lisia at 6,000 yen. And 6,000 yen, you are looking somewhere in the region of $43. Interestingly enough, this is the first card on the list which is more expensive than a booster box. There are only 3 cards on the list which are actually more expensive than a box of the set. And here the answer is it's Lisia. Now, Lisia, or Lisia's Appeal, I should say. Lisia as a card is fine. You switch your opponent's benched basic Pokemon with their active, and then that new active is confused, but it's only gusting on a basic, which is a huge downside. Here, it's not so much the playability as it is the fact people adore Lisia. And I told you Lisia was going to be the big deal about the set, and that is exactly what has happened here. People love Lisia. This Lisia is extremely cool. Coming in at number 2, we've got Latias Special Illustration Rare. Big jump here, up to 13,000 yen. So here you're talking about $93. And the top 2 here, they are the big cards. They are the ones you really want to be pulling. They're the ones that are going to make a decent box into a phenomenal box. Now, this is my personal chase card for the set, because we've got Okacheke artwork. I adore Okacheke. But of course, remember I told you about this card. The full art is way more expensive than a regular full art. It's just a bit over double your average full art. And the reason is, people are looking at this like a good playable card they want to be putting into their deck. But don't forget that it makes a pair with Latios. And Latios, they're literally a pair of cards. They've got the same artwork. It's one picture cut into 2. And Latios is not a good card. The card's terrible. And yet, the illustration rare of that is the most expensive illustration rare in the set. It is coming in at about the same price as like your full art Black Kyurem or your full art Drayton, and actually higher than stuff like your full art Surfer, for instance. So there is an element here of it's a very playable card. People love the playability. But there's also an element here of people want to get this joined card because the artwork's amazing. This is a great card. Artwork's great. Joined with the Latios, really playable card. You put it all together, this is a deserving number 2. But obviously number 1's Lisia, and again there is a gigantic jump here. It's pretty much treble Special Illustration Rare Latias. We're talking 40,000 yen here. $286. This is a big deal. This is actually the most expensive card we've had in any set for a little while. This is a very big card. It is definitely the one you want to be pulling. So cross your fingers, ladies and gentlemen, because pulling this is going to make a big deal. There we go. Number 1, by a mile. And I do mean by a mile. Like, you compare this to Lacey, for instance, not even close. Like 3 or 4 times the price. Well, 3 times the price of Lacey. It is the number 1, which is the number 1 from Stellar Miracle. Number 1, by a mile. And not just from this set, in the last few sets. But I've told you about all of that now, ladies and gentlemen, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these cards. Tell me what your chase from the set is. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Zarek Paris, who's one of our newer supporters and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.